new video, No Evidence, dropped 5 days ago, and we're recording now. Okay, so here we are. We have Tyler Durand, other words, Late Night Villains, and he just has a video, came out, No Evidence, and it's dope, very dope. Good work on that.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, so clearly you're still grinding pretty hard with the music, and you've been doing that for a number of years now.
At least 15.
Least. So, what would you say to some upcoming artists and how to sustain that creativity and that confidence through the game, even when, things can get tough or you're not always in a position to be able to do things the way you want to?
Man, honestly, I would just say push when it feels like it's time to push and fall back when it's time to fall back. Don't try to push through times where there's a lot of uncertainty, because that's when you're going to put out stuff that's not really true to either yourself or your brand, right?
Right.
I come that all the time. I have a little hot streak and then I stop and then I go back to it, but then you have to stop and go back to it sometimes. It's like art. Yeah. It is art, right? It's just like you're sculpting what you want to become a masterpiece. So exactly. Over time, you gotta take your time with it. So that's what I would say. Don't rush when it's not time, but when it's go time and you're feeling it, strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I've taken the last year and a half off of music just to focus on boxing. Actually, I want to do some amateur events.
Oh, really?
So that's something I'm just looking forward to do as just like a personal thing, just trying to put those trophies on the wall type thing,
for sure.
And so like you've always been a super creative guy, and where do you see the city going from here on, like with the next generation of younger guys coming up, and through all the guys that have came and left, and guys like you and Maloney and others that are still going strong?
Honestly, like at least in the last 4 years, I like to say that there's been a lot of new faces popping up in the scene, and people that we may not even know at one point was even interested in music or doing it, and
right.
So seeing more people pop up rather than like you said, you have me, you have Maloney, and artists that have been around for at least 10, 15 years
right.
doing the thing. So to see new guys that are like 20 to 25 still coming up, and even taking in that Brantford still has a scene, because the scene in Brantford has been so, everyone, camp here, camp there, camp here. Everyone's been kind of so spread out in a sense, but when we were doing shows together and, getting MV filled up, the last show we did, I did a show with Versetti and Scott Free and all the upper class white trash back in February of 2020, I believe, was like the very beginning. And that show was hard, so I do see the scene, like even being locked down in quarantine and stuff, I still see the scene prospering and everyone doing their little things and working on like small projects, right? So
right.
I love to see it. I'd rather see people doing their thing than nobody doing anything at all, and then we're all just
And I find that the genders are opening up too more. The genres are opening up more too. Like you got guys like Jim, they're doing a lot more artsy stuff, and guys like Caleb and other guys like that. Yep. Whereas before, all you ever really heard about was the rappers and a couple punk bands. But
exactly. Shout out to Jim and Caleb doing their thing still.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for this year when everything clears up more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of which, this past year, 2020, like it almost feels like society hit such a big shift. It's like it's a different place. And as for me and you, we're new parents, so it's even crazier.
Yeah. I know it's nuts. Like honestly, I pretty much keep it to myself for the most part. So the only thing that sucks about not being able to leave your house is someone telling you, you can't leave, we're on lockdown, you gotta stay in. I was like, I was gonna stay in anyways, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. These days with my son Terrence and shit, like I was gonna stay in anyways, but still, like it kind of sucks. Feels like freedoms are being like taken away, but then a lot of people aren't even really taking it seriously to begin with. So that's another question too, right?
Yeah.
Whole
Yeah,
other,
there's both
whole
sides
other
of the
story in
coin when it
itself.
comes to it, because as much as I like to go on my runs still, and like I'll still go see a buddy or whatever, and on the
Yeah,
low key, but I'm also pretty uneducated when it comes to the whole science behind diseases, and especially this specific disease. It's pretty crazy. It's a
and it hit so
whole new
hard when
time.
it did. Everyone was unprepared, like 100%.
Right. Yeah, and like even in New York City, they have transport trucks that look like refrigerators, and they're full of bodies because they don't have
Yeah.
enough for the bodies there.
Oh,
So,
it's crazy, man.
and
Honestly.
that's in like mid streets. Like if you were walking downtown, you'd see that, and
Yeah.
they're stacked. So it's pretty crazy.
Also, the crazy part too is when people consider like the end of the world. We always talk about what the end of the world looks like. We think of like mass Armageddon stuff.
Right.
This could very well be the start to that. Either way,
That's right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the sixth extinction, I believe they would call that. So
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the first time something completely wiped a species out here on Earth.
yeah. Everybody was tripping about like 2012 and all the
I
other
remember
bad
that.
stuff
I
happened.
remember that. And
Asteroids
to this
hitting
day,
Earth.
when that movie's on the screen, I can't finish it. I can't finish 2012 with it straight. Even back then, I thought this is just crazy. This is cheesy.
Yeah,
By the time I'd seen the movie the first time, it was already past 2012. I was like, okay. But no, it is crazy, and especially with all the things with the government now and everything going on. Like I know another local, Tyler LaRue. You probably know him. He's always spreading just great information on what's going on, and we really don't know what's going to happen in this upcoming year. But hopefully here locally, everything works out pretty well.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, man. Because like you said, 2020 was like it's almost like a blur how fast the year can go, but how like long the year felt at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's completely different, and it was kind of cool to have martial arts be the upfront sport for the year. A lot of people who weren't into martial arts, they were kind of stuck watching it, and you'd see them posting about it, and I was like, this is really cool because the whole world gets to see how much of a sport it really is.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, like I was saying before we did this call, Max Holloway really showed out tonight, man. What a beast. If you get those clips, yeah, you should definitely check out those clips. That shit will get you watching some more of those fights for sure. So yeah, and so like your dad was an entrepreneur, and I know personally, because we're from the same city, you're an entrepreneur as well. What kind of influence did your dad kind of bring onto you for not just entrepreneurism, but like in creativity as well, all around?
Honestly, that's all. Anytime I talk to my dad, because I never grew up with him, but we reconnected when I was an adult. So he's been in my life for at least 5 years now. Every time we talk, that's all it is: business, 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 business. Right? So he's got his ear to the street when it comes to like that kind of stuff, and always trying to see where my head is at with the things I want to do with my creative projects, and just kind of like two entrepreneurs kind of like kindling the fire, seeing what's good between each other, right?
Yeah.
So for the most times when we have conversations, it'll be what he's got going on in his business. He wants to know what I'm going on, things I can help him with, and he tries to give me knowledge on, so.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it's crazy how creative your dad can be with wings, with chicken wings.
Man.
I mean, I've never met anybody. Well, you might find somebody else in the world, but your dad will definitely compete. I mean,
apple pie, that's his golden child right there.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the video you did. I was there at the video shoot where you guys had the wings, and Reaper, shout out to Reaper, he actually had the slow-mo shot of the wings being tossed, and that shit was just crazy, yeah.
That shoot was nuts, too. People driving by honking, because we had all the big lights set up. Shout out to Reaper.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Shoot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like the creativeness runs in your family. You got a sister who sings, your other brother raps, and I had recently met Josh, who
Yeah.
dude's in crazy shape. I
Oh
told
yeah.
him, I was like, you got to get
Oh
me on
yeah.
workout routines, man. Like,
He's getting decent with shooting the music videos too, and he does music. Shout out Josh Kwame, my bro.
yeah, and he just directed that last video, No Evidence, too.
Yep.
And what was the basis on that song?
Uh, Basically everything that's going on right now. Like that's why I said, all inclusive. Like Dredd said, all inclusive is a song that my brother Justin, aka Kid Dredd, did a couple years ago.
Right.
And he says, all I'm trying to see is dead presidents. Well, at this
Yeah.
point, with the presidency we got going that we had, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and with the Capitol Hill, the Capitol building thing,
Yeah.
it's like
That might have a whole
I'm
new
not trying
meaning
to
to it.
see, you know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
trying to, and at the same time, we're trying to see shit flourish. So dead presidents is obviously money in America.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just made the tie between the two songs
Yeah.
and correlating events that have been happening.
Yeah. And I also love that line too, just because of the Jay-Z reference. Like when he did the Dead President songs, those songs always had a lot of meaning to me growing up.
And the movie, I love the movie and the song.
Right. Yeah, both just classics. Yeah, it's really crazy when you think about the media too, because sometimes like I don't know what to think anymore when it comes to what I'm seeing, because it's getting blasted at you from so many angles now that we have the internet.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, people could just be putting bullshit out there.
Hashtag fake news, bro. Like that, honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore when we see stuff. And for the most part, news is they kind of chalk it up all to be entertainment as it is.
Yeah.
You know.
No, yeah, that's true. Like the news doesn't actually have to tell you the truth. There's no like legal abide there where they have to say that this is true what we're filming. They're allowed to script it all
Yeah.
and there. So it really could be. And that also got me thinking about, Trump the other day, because they were impeaching him for the second time. And I don't care too much. I just throw the shit on just to kind of stay relevant with it. And
Yeah.
plus starting the podcast, I kind of got to have, topics within the world. So anyways, and I noticed that what they were saying sounded so like shitty. Like the guy had a script and he's like, oh no, this is dangerous, da da da. And I'm like, this almost sounds so set up. And the whole thing of the actors at the Capitol Hill, like, I'm not trying to stick up for Trump in any way, because, well, I wouldn't. But when you look at the media, those are the guys who've been lying to us for a long, long time. So
Yeah.
it's I wouldn't put it past them at this point.
And if you think about every kind of traumatic event that's ever happened in America or wherever, there's
Right.
always they always have those actors, as you say, there.
Yeah.
They actually proved that one chick was at like every event that there ever was, basically.
Right. Yeah, and it's the same America, like who's lied to us so many times. So I mean, like I said, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
And there's even a big scandal in boxing with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and I'm huge fans of both boxers.
Oh yeah,
And
I heard all
did you
about
hear
that.
about that?
Oh,
The-
that
the-
was with Roy Jones Jr., right?
oh, with Mike Tyson?
Huh?
Oh, with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
But I was referring to the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. There was an accusation that Tyson Fury had actually tampered with his glove.
Oh,
And,
okay.
So Tyson Fury has tampered with his gloves in the past. It's not like he hasn't, and he's an amazing boxer. I'm not saying he has to, or he did it on purpose, or that's the case of why he beat Wilder in the rematch. But it definitely didn't look good when they were showing the glove. Now, and I was saying to somebody, they were like, "Oh, there's no way the commission would let that happen," and I'm like, "But the commission has let it happen before."
It's money.
Yeah, and there's money.
Well,
Exactly, there's money involved in it too, and politics to sell bigger fights.
Yep.
So which boils down to money as well.
Everything is money.
It's that saying, fool me once, fool me twice, that type thing. You can see it coming if it's happened before.
Yep. 100%.
All right, brother. Well, that was a good session, and I appreciate the call. I'll chop this up, and I'll probably throw it on YouTube tonight since I got the time.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Anytime,
Stay
bro.
blessed and have a good night.